The morning of April 15th, 2022, two pallets marked used furniture moved through the port of Long Beach. Inside, 1.5 tons of Colombian cocaine worth $118 million. But the drugs were gone, replaced by federal agents with decoys. The man who ordered this shipment? Jason Collins, son of California's deputy police commissioner. A cop's kid was running the West Coast's biggest drug empire using legitimate moving trucks. And he had no idea he was driving straight into the largest bust in California history. This is how prescription drug addiction turned a police commissioner's son into a cocaine kingpin, and how federal agents brought down his $135 million empire. Before I walk you through the full story, I just have a small favor to ask. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and let me know in the comments. What city are you watching from? It's always amazing to see how far this audience is reaching. Jonathan Collins didn't look like a man destined to run one of the West Coast's most sophisticated drug trafficking networks. At 29, he carried himself with the quiet confidence of someone who had never truly struggled. His accent still held traces of his elite education at Phillips Exeter Academy, where annual tuition exceeded $45,000. Collins had been more than just another wealthy student at Exeter. He'd played cricket for the school's team, an unusual sport for American schools, but one that suited his disciplined nature. His batting average had caught the attention of scouts, and at 18 he'd even trialed with the Los Angeles Dodgers youth system. A shoulder injury in his senior year ended those dreams, but it hadn't dimmed his ambition. After graduation, Collins joined his father's business, Collins Signs and Graphics. The family firm had been installing restaurant and hotel signage across California for over 2 decades. It was honest work, profitable work, and Collins seemed destined to inherit a comfortable middle-class empire. Then the pandemic hit. March 2020 changed everything. Restaurants shuttered. Hotels went dark. The demand for new signage dropped by 80% virtually overnight. The business that had sustained the Collins family for 25 years suddenly faced bankruptcy. Collins watched his father, Richard, struggle with more than just financial pressure. The stress manifested in chest pains, sleepless nights, and eventually a month-long hospitalization with COVID-19. At 29, Jonathan found himself responsible for a failing business, mounting debts, and a family legacy crumbling in real time. The pressure was crushing, but Collins had always been a problem solver. Collins saw opportunity where others saw crisis. While traditional businesses collapsed, one sector was booming: moving services. Wealthy professionals were fleeing cities for suburban and rural properties. They needed discreet, high-end moving services. In January 2021, Collins officially registered Real Estate Removals LLC. His initial investment was $150,000, personal savings combined with a loan secured against his family's home. He rented warehouse space in an industrial district of Los Angeles and purchased 3 used trucks, which he had professionally rebranded with elegant logos and color schemes. The business model was simple but sophisticated. Position real estate removals as a premium, white-glove service for wealthy clients. No ordinary moving company aesthetic. This would look like a luxury brand. Collins hired carefully. Michael Jenkins, 25, came from a major logistics company with expertise in route planning and coordination. Connor Fletcher, 25, was young, ambitious, and willing to drive overnight routes without complaint. The team was small but professional. The legitimate business expanded rapidly. By March 2021, Collins had contracts with high-end real estate agencies. By May, he'd expanded to 8 trucks. By July, he'd opened a satellite office in San Francisco. The trajectory seemed unstoppable. But there were problems. Clients began complaining about damaged trucks returning from jobs. GPS logs showed stops at industrial locations unrelated to any scheduled moves. Expensive items occasionally went missing during relocations. Fuel costs ran 40% higher than projected. Most troubling was the change in his drivers. Previously, chatty employees became secretive, avoiding team meetings and social gatherings. By October 2021, several major clients had canceled contracts. Online reviews complained of unprofessional service. The company desperately needed new revenue streams. That's when Collins received his first offer for special cargo. By 2021, Collins was working 18-hour days, The physical demands were crushing: loading heavy furniture, driving cross-country routes, managing logistics that seemed to grow more complex by the week. Some days started before dawn and ended after midnight. The relentless schedule took its toll. Collins developed chronic back pain from heavy lifting. Sleep became elusive. The stress of keeping a struggling business afloat while maintaining the appearance of success was overwhelming. That's when tramadol entered his life. It wasn't prescribed. A driver mentioned it casually, a powerful opiate often used for severe pain. Taken with energy drinks, it could keep someone alert for hours. Collins wasn't looking for a high. He was looking for functionality. At first, it was just a few pills before particularly demanding days. Then it became daily, 3 to 4 tablets to start the morning. By summer 2021, Collins was taking 8 to 10 pills every 4 hours. By September, he was consuming up to 20 tablets daily. The drug didn't just manage his pain, it changed his personality. Collins became irritable, paranoid, prone to impulsive decisions. His weight dropped noticeably. His hands developed a subtle tremor. Employees began to notice their boss's erratic behavior. The financial pressure was enormous. Collins' tramadol habit was costing him up to $1,500 monthly. The legitimate moving business was generating decreasing profits. He had loans to service, employees to pay, and a family reputation to maintain. By December 2021, Collins was spending over $100 daily on tramadol. The company was approaching bankruptcy. He was physically dependent on a drug that was destroying his judgment and his business. When the first offer came for special cargo, supposedly valuable artwork requiring discreet transport, Collins was desperate enough to listen. The proposed payment was $50,000 for a single run, 10 times his normal rate. The only conditions: no questions asked, complete discretion. Collins, drowning in debt and addiction, said yes. What started as a single special delivery evolved into something entirely different. Collins convinced himself he was simply transporting high-value items that required extraordinary security. He didn't ask questions because he didn't want answers. The money was intoxicating. $50,000 for one weekend's work compared to months of struggling with legitimate moves. Within weeks, Collins was actively seeking more special cargo opportunities. But the transformation wasn't immediate. Collins established strict protocols to maintain plausible deniability. He never opened packages, never asked about contents, never met clients directly. All arrangements came through intermediaries who spoke in careful euphemisms. Art collectors, they called themselves. Private acquisitions was how they described the cargo. The first few runs were small-scale tests, 20 kilograms hidden in a false bottom, disguised among legitimate furniture loads. Collins told himself these were probably stolen artworks or undeclared antiquities. Illegal, perhaps, but not necessarily dangerous. The psychological rationalization was crucial. Collins needed to believe he wasn't becoming a drug trafficker. He was simply a transport specialist who didn't ask inconvenient questions. The distinction, however artificial, allowed him to sleep at night. The transformation was gradual but systematic. Collins used his existing infrastructure, licensed trucks, established routes, trained drivers, to create what appeared to be a legitimate operation. Real moving jobs continued alongside the mysterious shipments, providing perfect cover. Financial records later revealed the careful integration of illegal income. Collins created multiple revenue streams within real estate removals: standard residential moves, commercial relocations, specialty transport services, and high-security deliveries. The last two categories generated 10 times the profit margin of legitimate work. Collins invested heavily in modifications. Professional mechanics, paid in cash and asked no questions, installed false floors in his trucks, creating compartments indistinguishable from normal cargo space during casual inspection. The work was sophisticated: welded steel frames, hydraulic mechanisms, even air circulation systems. Fake wall panels were fitted behind standard upholstery, activated by hidden mechanisms accessible only to trained operators. Secret compartments were built into spare tire wells and fuel tank areas. Some modifications could hold 200 kilograms of cargo without affecting the vehicle's external appearance or driving characteristics. Ventilation systems prevented odor accumulation. Weight distribution calculations ensured trucks handled normally even when fully loaded with contraband. Real furniture was strategically positioned to mask weight discrepancies during inspections. Every technical detail was designed to fool customs, inspections, and routine traffic stops. The scale grew rapidly, almost aggressively. Initial shipments in February 2022 involved 20 to 50 kilograms. By March, Collins was confident enough to handle 75-kilogram loads. By May, he was moving 100-kilogram shipments. By summer, he was coordinating multiple trucks, carrying hundreds of kilograms simultaneously. Each successful run increased Collins' confidence and appetite for larger operations. The money was staggering. $500,000 for a single weekend's work became routine. Collins' tramadol addiction was now funded by cocaine profits, creating a vicious cycle of dependency and criminal escalation. The operation expanded geographically with mathematical precision. What began as local Los Angeles transport evolved into interstate logistics covering Nevada, Arizona, and eventually international routes. Collins developed contacts throughout Mexico, establishing supply chains that could move massive quantities of cocaine from Colombian cartels through Mexican territories into California distribution networks. Route analysis revealed Collins' strategic thinking. Primary corridors followed Interstate 5 from San Diego to Los Angeles, Interstate 10 from Los Angeles to Phoenix, and Interstate 15 from Los Angeles to Las Vegas. Secondary routes through smaller highways provided alternatives when law enforcement activity increased on major roads. Organizationally, Collins separated his legitimate and illegitimate operations with corporate precision. He used code words: VIP clients, delicate cargo, special handling, white glove service, to distinguish drug shipments from regular moves. Payment came exclusively in cash through intermediaries who never met Collins directly. Communication happened through encrypted messaging apps that deleted messages automatically. Collins purchased multiple burner phones, rotating them monthly. He established separate bank accounts for different business activities, carefully structuring deposits to avoid federal reporting requirements. Staff compartmentalization was essential. Only 3 employees knew about the drug operations: Jenkins, Fletcher, and Sadiq. Other drivers handled legitimate moves exclusively. Office staff processed normal business without knowing about special cargo. The isolation protected both the organization and uninvolved employees. By summer 2022, narcotics income represented 80% of real estate removal's total revenue. Financial analysis showed legitimate moving services generated approximately $200,000 annually, while drug transportation produced over $2 million in the same period. The legitimate moving business had become merely a front for Collins' drug empire. The psychological transformation was complete. Collins was no longer a businessman who occasionally transported drugs. He was a drug trafficker who maintained a moving company as cover. The distinction mattered legally, financially, and personally. Collins had crossed a line from which there would be no return. Collins built his operation carefully, recruiting people he could trust or control. He avoided traditional street dealers and gang connections, instead relying on his business infrastructure and personal relationships formed during his legitimate business operations. The recruitment strategy was sophisticated. Collins identified individuals with specific skills, financial vulnerabilities, and limited criminal experience. He preferred people who needed money but weren't career criminals. They were more reliable and less likely to attract law enforcement attention. Michael Jenkins remained his key logistics coordinator. The 25-year-old managed route planning, driver schedules, and coordination between pickup and delivery points. Jenkins' background in commercial logistics made him invaluable for optimizing transportation efficiency and avoiding law enforcement patterns. On paper, Jenkins was simply a transportation manager earning $65,000 annually. In reality, he was orchestrating the movement of hundreds of kilograms of cocaine across state lines, receiving performance bonuses that sometimes exceeded his official salary. Jenkins' detailed knowledge of interstate trucking regulations, weight station schedules, and border crossing procedures made him indispensable. Phone records later revealed Jenkins' central role in coordinating complex multi-vehicle operations. He managed timing sequences, ensuring trucks arrived at destinations within narrow windows, minimizing exposure time. He tracked weather conditions, road construction, and law enforcement activity across 3 states, adjusting routes in real time. Connor Fletcher became Collins' primary courier. Young, quiet, and willing to drive overnight across borders, Fletcher had already completed 17 documented runs to Mexico by the time of his arrest. His clean driving record, unremarkable appearance, and professional demeanor made him nearly invisible to border security. Fletcher's trips followed a consistent pattern developed through months of trial and refinement. Depart Los Angeles Friday evening, drive to predetermined coordinates near Tijuana, stay overnight at a specific motel, meet contacts Saturday morning, load cargo using established protocols, return via San Diego crossing Sunday afternoon when traffic was heaviest and inspections most routine. To casual observers, Fletcher was just another American driver conducting weekend business south of the border. His cover story, purchasing furniture for California antique shops, was supported by legitimate receipts and documentation. Fletcher even learned basic Spanish and carried Mexican pesos to enhance his credibility. Humayun Sadiq was different. The 43-year-old was the kind of contact who didn't speak much, but knew how to move things efficiently. His phone rarely rang, he left minimal digital traces, but his presence was documented at key handovers and drop points through surveillance footage and witness statements. Sadiq served as the crucial link between Collins' organization and the Mexican suppliers. He managed the financial side of transactions, ensuring payments reached the correct recipients without creating traceable records. Sadiq's expertise in money laundering and international transfers made him invaluable despite his minimal public profile. Intelligence analysis later revealed Sadiq's connections to 3 other trafficking organizations operating between Mexico and California. His role in Collins' network was part of a larger criminal enterprise spanning multiple countries and involving millions of dollars in annual revenue. The network's strength lay in its appearance of legitimacy. Collins maintained branded trucks with professional logos, uniformed drivers, a sophisticated company website featuring customer testimonials, and even a social media presence showcasing successful moves for wealthy clients. Marketing materials emphasized real estate removal's discretion, professionalism, and ability to handle sensitive relocations for high-profile clients. The language was carefully crafted to attract legitimate customers while signaling availability for less conventional cargo to potential criminal contacts. In photographs, Collins still looked like a young entrepreneur. Clean-cut, focused, professional. Company promotional videos showed him supervising moves, discussing logistics with clients, and maintaining the image of a successful business owner. The contrast between his public persona and criminal reality was striking. But behind the scenes, the money told a different story. Financial surveillance revealed Collins' transformation from struggling businessman to wealthy criminal. In less than 12 months, Collins had taken 3 trips to Dubai, leased a Ferrari 488 GTB, undergone $45,000 worth of dental work at a Beverly Hills clinic, and was frequently photographed wearing what investigators later confirmed was a genuine Rolex Submariner worth $15,000. The lifestyle escalation was dramatic and visible. Collins moved from a modest apartment to a luxury condo overlooking Los Angeles. He joined an exclusive gym, began wearing designer clothing, and was seen at high-end restaurants previously beyond his budget. The image he'd built, hard-working, down-to-earth, self-made, was cracking under the weight of conspicuous consumption. Social media analysis revealed the extent of Collins' new lifestyle. Instagram posts showed exotic vacations, expensive cars, and luxury experiences inconsistent with a legitimate moving company's profits. The posts were later used as evidence of criminal income during prosecution. Routes were becoming routine and predictable. Mexico to Los Angeles, San Diego to San Francisco, Long Beach to Las Vegas, Phoenix to Los Angeles. The organization operated like a commercial trucking company with regular schedules, established protocols, and performance metrics. Some shipments passed through customs without inspection due to Collins' careful cultivation of a legitimate business profile. Others were monitored by law enforcement but never triggered enough suspicion to prompt intervention. The organization's professional appearance and documented business history provided effective cover for criminal operations. Traffic analysis showed Collins' trucks crossed the Mexican border 127 times between January and June 2022. The frequency and regularity of crossings should have triggered additional scrutiny, but real estate removal's legitimate business profile and proper documentation allowed the activity to continue undetected. The network grew confident, perhaps too confident. Success bred complacency. Collins began taking greater risks, moving larger loads, and expanding operations faster than security protocols could adapt. The organization that had succeeded through careful planning and conservative operations was becoming vulnerable through its own ambition. Internal communications revealed growing tension within the organization. Jenkins expressed concerns about increased law enforcement activity. Fletcher reported unusual questions at border crossings. Sadiq warned about rival organizations competing for the same routes. But Collins, flush with success and compromised by addiction, dismissed these warnings. He was convinced his operation was untouchable, protected by its legitimate business cover and professional execution. This confidence would prove to be his greatest mistake. The first serious warning came in January 2022, but Collins didn't recognize it as such. One of his drivers was stopped by Border Patrol at the San Diego crossing. It appeared to be a routine moving truck. Proper documentation, professional appearance, nothing obviously suspicious. But a secondary inspection revealed something different. Hidden beneath a load of household furniture, officers discovered 63 kilograms of cocaine and 101 kilograms of ketamine. Street value, over $5 million. It was the first confirmed link between real estate removals and organized drug importation. Quietly, the case was flagged to federal authorities. Files were opened, patterns were analyzed, but investigators didn't go public. Instead, they decided to watch and see what else the company might attempt. The decision proved prescient. Collins, apparently undeterred by losing one shipment, began planning his most ambitious operation yet. April 2022 brought Collins' boldest move and his greatest mistake. A commercial cargo ship docked in Mexico carrying pallets of household furniture bound for California. On paper, it was unremarkable. Used furniture following established trade routes, documentation properly filed. But hidden within the furniture loads was nearly 1.5 tons of cocaine, pressed into bricks and concealed with industrial precision inside hollowed-out sofas, dining tables, and bedroom sets. Estimated street value, $118 million. Collins' organization didn't know that Mexican authorities, acting on intelligence from their American counterparts, had already intercepted the shipment. The cocaine was removed, every gram. In its place, dummy packages designed to mimic the weight and shape of the original bricks were inserted into the furniture. The load was resealed, the manifest left untouched, and the shipment was quietly allowed to continue to the United States. American authorities were notified but didn't intercept the cargo at Long Beach. Instead, they planned to follow. 2 pallets were separated from the larger shipment and loaded onto a real estate removals truck. The driver noticed nothing unusual. He drove north following his standard route, stopping at a rest area near Riverside, where another vehicle made contact. The handover was quiet, unremarkable, but police were watching every mile. Surveillance units followed the truck to a warehouse in California. The gang believed they just secured one of the biggest cocaine hauls in their organization's history. In reality, they were moving nothing more valuable than professionally crafted decoys. Over the following days, investigators from multiple agencies compiled evidence. Timing logs, vehicle registrations, communications intercepts, and detailed logistics records. The entire chain from ship to warehouse had been observed and documented. Collins had walked straight into a trap, but federal agents didn't move immediately. They kept watching, knowing that sometimes the smallest details reveal the most about a criminal organization's structure. Collins was starting to make critical mistakes. By summer 2022, the furniture shipment had revealed the organization's logistics, personnel, and operational methods. But one final operation was already in motion. Connor Fletcher made the journey alone. His destination, a pickup near the Mexican border. The same real estate removals truck, the same professional appearance, the same routine that had worked dozens of times before. But this run would be different. Acting on prior intelligence about the cocaine operation, Border Patrol officers flagged Fletcher's truck for inspection at the San Diego crossing. Initial examination revealed nothing suspicious. Standard contents, proper documentation, company branding all in order. A more detailed inspection changed everything. Underneath the load, cut into the floor of the trailer, was a professionally constructed compartment. Inside, 60 kilograms of high-purity cocaine, fresh from Mexican suppliers, with a street value of approximately $4.7 million. Fletcher was arrested immediately. His phone was seized, and analysis revealed direct communication links to Collins' network, drop-off locations, encrypted contact numbers, brief coded updates like loaded and complete. The digital forensics revealed the scope of Fletcher's involvement. His GPS history showed 17 previous trips to the same Mexican border region over the past 4 months. Call logs indicated coordinated timing with Collins personally. Always brief conversations occurring exactly 2 hours before Fletcher's departure and within 30 minutes of his return. Text message analysis exposed the operational code language. Furniture delivery confirmed meant successful pickup. Client wants different pieces indicated problems with the shipment. Delayed by traffic was code for law enforcement presence. Most damaging was Fletcher's photo gallery. Images of the truck's hidden compartment during various stages of loading, pictures of brick-shaped packages wrapped in industrial plastic, screenshots of Mexican peso to dollar conversion rates. The evidence was methodical and comprehensive. The truck was traced directly back to real estate removals, and the false floor wasn't a makeshift modification. It was custom-built specifically for smuggling. Engineering analysis revealed the compartment could hold up to 200 kilograms when fully loaded. Tool marks indicated the modification had been professionally installed, likely costing tens of thousands of dollars. Fletcher, quiet and compliant, refused to identify anyone else in the organization. He didn't resist arrest, didn't attempt to explain, simply remained silent. His lawyer later indicated Fletcher believed his silence would protect others in the network and potentially reduce his own sentence. But Fletcher's phone contained more than just communications. It held GPS coordinates for drop-off locations across 3 states, contact information for 27 individuals involved in the distribution network, and financial records showing payments totaling $340,000 over 8 months. Back in California, Collins kept the business running. Other drivers picked up routes, logistics were adjusted, operations continued. Collins maintained his public schedule, attending business networking events, posting company updates on social media, even giving an interview to a local business magazine about adapting to post-pandemic logistics challenges. But behind closed doors, everything had changed. Collins increased security protocols, replaced Fletcher's route with a different driver, and implemented new communication methods. He purchased additional encrypted phones and established backup transportation routes through Nevada and Arizona. The organization's financial patterns shifted dramatically. Previously, regular wire transfers stopped. Cash payments increased. Collins opened 3 new bank accounts under subsidiary company names, spreading deposits to avoid federal reporting requirements. Fletcher's arrest had provided federal investigators with evidence of concealment, international transport, and large-scale distribution. They also had a name and a company to investigate thoroughly. More critically, they had real-time insight into Collins' response to law enforcement pressure. Surveillance teams noted Collins' behavioral changes, longer working hours, frequent meetings in unusual locations, and the acquisition of a second vehicle registered under his mother's name. These reactions confirmed investigators' suspicions that Collins was the operational leader, not merely a figurehead. What Collins didn't realize was that Fletcher's arrest wasn't an isolated incident. It was part of a coordinated investigation that had been building for months. Federal agencies were now prepared to execute simultaneous raids across multiple states, targeting every aspect of the organization Collins believed he was successfully protecting. Phone records pulled from Fletcher's seized mobile provided investigators with contact links, route data, and message histories pointing directly to other members of Collins' organization. The arrests came in rapid succession. Michael Jenkins was arrested first at his residence in Los Angeles. During the raid, officers seized mobile phones, communication logs, and driver scheduling documents. Analysis later revealed Jenkins had been issuing detailed instructions to Fletcher and other drivers regarding pickup timings, route selections, and handover procedures. Humayun Sadiq was arrested near the port several days later. Inside his vehicle, police found digital route planning tools, encrypted communication applications, and a secondary mobile phone linking him directly to both Jenkins and Collins. Sadiq had been the ground coordinator, managing timing, monitoring deliveries, and maintaining visual contact with shipments throughout the transportation process. The final operation came weeks later. Jason Collins was arrested at the California warehouse that had served as his organization's primary hub. Officers raided both his residence and business premises simultaneously. Inside, they uncovered company records, vehicle hire contracts, CCTV backup systems, burner phones, and GPS tracking data, all connecting real estate removals to multi-ton cocaine shipments from Mexico. Vehicle inspections at the site revealed multiple trucks equipped with hidden compartments identical to those used by Fletcher. The modifications were professionally installed and nearly impossible to detect without detailed mechanical examination. Collins denied leadership of the operation, but his name appeared on every relevant document. Investigators found text message chains linking him to vehicle scheduling, travel coordination, and drop-off location selection. It was the clearest picture federal agents had ever assembled of a West Coast drug trafficking network. Every courier, every vehicle, every cross-border trip was documented and accounted for. Every key player was now in federal custody. Richard Collins had spent nearly a decade in law enforcement as a deputy police commissioner for California. He was known throughout the state for his work on community safety initiatives and police oversight programs. But in March 2022, that professional world collided catastrophically with his personal life when his only son, Jason Collins, was arrested as part of a multi-agency federal drug trafficking investigation. Within hours of Collins' arrest, a search team arrived at Richard Collins' family home. Reports confirmed that 14 federal agents conducted the raid. Among the items seized was a memory stick containing only family videos from his grandson's christening. The family says it took over a year to recover that single piece of personal property. Richard Collins was not arrested or charged with any crime, but the impact was immediate and devastating. As news of the operation spread across California media, headlines inevitably linked his name and former position to his son's criminal case. In court, federal prosecutors described Jason as the leader of a criminal organization responsible for importing millions of dollars worth of narcotics into the United States under cover of his legitimate moving business. But Richard Collins insisted the public narrative missed crucial context. He told reporters that his son had been prescribed tramadol during the stressful period of building his moving company, and that a growing dependency on the drug may have contributed to the devastating decisions that followed. The statement revealed a father's desperate attempt to explain how his accomplished, educated son had become the leader of a drug trafficking organization. It also highlighted the complex relationship between prescription drug addiction and criminal behavior, a connection that would become central to understanding Collins' fall from privilege to federal prison. May 19, 2023. The federal courthouse in Los Angeles was unusually quiet as prosecutors laid out the full scope of Collins' organization. This wasn't simply about one major drug seizure. It was about systematic criminal enterprise spanning multiple states and international borders. The prosecution described a network operating with commercial-level precision, modified vehicles, coordinated staging areas, professional concealment methods, and international supply chains. Multiple seizures had revealed millions of dollars in street-value narcotics, but the organization's total scope was likely much larger. While defendants had already entered guilty pleas, their attorneys attempted to provide context and mitigation. Fletcher's defense emphasized that he had no control over cargo contents and was simply following employment instructions. Jenkins' attorney argued that his client had managed drivers and logistics, but never directly handled narcotics. Sadiq's representation claimed he was a facilitator rather than a decision-maker. For Collins, the defense strategy focused on his struggle with addiction following the collapse of his family's business. They argued he had spiraled into drug dependency and, in that compromised state, was exploited by criminal contacts rather than leading the organization. Federal Judge Maria Rodriguez rejected these characterizations. She described the operation as one of the most extensive trafficking networks the region has seen and called the planning methodical and calculated. The organization, she noted, didn't simply move drugs. It sustained organized crime infrastructure on a regional scale. The sentences reflected the operation's scope. Jason Collins received 23 years and 6 months in federal prison. The judge cited his central organizational role in the massive scale of the trafficking operation. Humayun Sadiq was sentenced to 27 years. The court identified him as a key coordinator who remained deliberately invisible while orchestrating critical logistical elements. Michael Jenkins received 15 years for managing transportation, driver coordination, and ensuring shipments moved without detection. Connor Fletcher was sentenced to 12 years. As the courier caught with 60 kilograms of cocaine in custom-built secret compartments, he represented the operational level of the organization. Each member of the network had been sentenced according to their role in what prosecutors called a sophisticated criminal enterprise that operated under the cover of legitimate business. The real estate removals organization had been completely dismantled. Every vehicle was seized, every asset frozen, every operational element documented and destroyed.